Today I'm going to review Don't Look Up. It's a Netflix movie. It has Leonardo DiCaprio in it and Cate Blanchett, Meryl Streep, a whole host of people. Star-studded cast.
It even had Tyler Perry in it, which I was personally surprised about because I thought he only made his own movies pretty much. But this movie starts with two scientists discovering a comet, pretty much. Well, one of them discovers it, but the other one calculates that it's going to run into the Earth in like 6 months. And they take it to the president, but the president is only like worried about it in a political way, and she doesn't even care about it at all until a sex scandal comes out against her, and then she's like all on board, but only to sway the public back to her side, pretty much. So they send a mission into space to like divert the comet with nuclear weapons, but at the very last possible second, they call it back because basically Elon Musk, or the Elon Musk of this universe pretty much, tells the president like, no, it's made of gold and I can definitely take it apart with my robots. And that's when things get kind of ridiculous in the exact same way it would get ridiculous if this were happening, probably in today's climate anyway, just in that it becomes like it's huge political things and the people are split and some are like, oh, the comet's not real and stuff. So they start this campaign of like, just look up, because you can see the comet in the sky by that point. And so then there's the opposite campaign, what the name for the movie, of Don't Look Up by the right. And it's just like done in such a way that's both hilarious but probably politically accurate. And the thing about this movie is that it was made specifically to be like a satire against the current political climate surrounding world climate or whatever, or world climate change actually. But in a lot of ways, I think this movie has a lot to say about what happened once the pandemic started. I mean, it's still going on, but like how many people are just saying like, oh, it's all a conspiracy, and other people are like, no, like you just follow these things and it'll be over quicker, and like just everything's been getting worse since then. I mean, hopefully this won't lead to the end of the entire world, but this movie hasn't really given me much hope in those regards. But as a political satire, I think this works fairly well. I think it's a pretty good movie that has a lot to say about today's world and just how, I guess, toxic how today's culture is, and especially with social media and everything. Kind of shines a light on how much of social media seems to dictate actual media nowadays, and that's just kind of weird, really. But it also shines a light on how corporations basically rule America. And, you know, if the rich white guy is going to come in and be like, wait, we can make a load of money instead of saving the world, you know, and they'd probably destroy the world in a heartbeat if they thought they could make a profit on it, you know, and that's basically what this movie is. And also just how split everyone is in this country right now. I mean, it really shows how, like, that you know, it always just split right down the middle, and for some reason, but like it always seems to go like, all the really crazy people go over here, while all the people who seem fairly sane go over here, and they put it under the guise of political bullshit, but really just, I don't know. It's like, who's more narcissistic than the other is the game that it always seems to be playing. Who's crazier than the other right now? And also demonstrates how people will just like basically put things off or keep putting things off until it's like, oh, you know, the world's about to end. And classism. I mean, like, I feel classism is almost the theme of many of these movies this year. That and narcissism. Narcissism or classism? What are we doing here? This one does both. Like, it really does just kind of demonstrate that the rich people kind of rule everything right now, and the little guy can't do a damn thing. And you know, this movie also demonstrates that if the world ever does come to an end, it'll probably be the people who destroyed the world on the Ark or whatever leaving it. Like, oh, well, that's screwed up. Good thing I have a contingency plan because I have enough money to do that, basically. You know, when you only care about yourself and you say fuck the world, that's basically the problem with the world right now in a nutshell. Anyway, this was a dark political satire, like really dark. It had a lot of humor. It was marketed as a dark comedy. I don't know if I'd call it that. I'd say maybe it's a dark dramedy, if there is such a thing. There is now, because this movie is one. But I thought it was really good. The acting was like amazing all around. It helped having so many stars. There were a lot of funny moments, though I wouldn't say any character was like particularly funny. Oh, except Jonah Hill. He always made me laugh every time he was on screen, and kind of demonstrated that he could be the funny guy for completely different reasons than he's normally the funny guy. I thought he was like kind of a parody of one of Trump's kids, which are the one that's like always on the news and talking to people. I thought he was like a direct parody of him. I don't know any of their names, but I felt he was definitely like the comic relief character. You know, like then then there'd be like something really dramatic happening, then they'd cut to Jonah Hill just to see what he was doing, and always be something really funny. Because like even though I would say this has comedic undertones, but very dramatic overtones. Like the funny parts are almost like too dark to be funny. If you're like really into dark comedy, and I am, you probably wouldn't even find some of this stuff funny. But it is still a really good movie. It has a lot to say. I don't think it's gonna be like a movie that makes people change their mind about climate change or anything, though. Like if you're going for like some kind of political message like that, it definitely like draws like a circle around the whole issue and highlights the whole thing so you can see it really brightly, but I don't think it's like gonna sway anyone to be like, oh no, the world's about to come to an end. I mean, like a comet and climate change are completely different things, even though climate change is pretty bad and we're probably gonna screw it up and the world's gonna end. Again, that's what happens when the world is ruled by rich, selfish people. Not much I can do about that, and not much this movie can do about it either. Even though this movie was also made by rich, selfish people. Kind of ironic that. Yeah, I'd say it's a really good watch, and had a lot of great themes, along with very believable characters, and some really funny moments, though some really dramatic moments too. And I kept thinking of Doctor Strangelove. I think that comparison is maybe obvious, just because both are movies about impending doom, and also comedies of sorts, or political satires for sure anyway. So outside of that, I don't think they really had a lot in common. Doctor Strangelove is like hilarious and gets funnier as the film goes on. This film starts out like a normal comedy would, but kind of slowly turns into a tragedy of sorts, or definitely not a comedy anyway. Though it does have some pretty funny moments. Especially the after credits scenes. In a lot of ways, those were funnier than anything else in the movie, I think. I'd have to watch it again. This is definitely worth a second viewing, too. Yeah, I'm just going to rate it, I think. Let's see. Was there anything I didn't like about it? I always have to consider that before I'm just like, 10 out of 10, best movie ever. This might be my favorite movie from last year. It's definitely up there. I really like this movie, and I like political satires like this, especially when they're accurate, which isn't always the case. But I also really like dark movies in general. That's just me. That's my taste, I think. Comes from watching A Clockwork Orange too many times, I think. It's not that. Considering this movie's 2.5 hours long, there were one or two side plots that I thought could have been dropped. Like, they didn't really matter that much. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio starts having an affair on his wife at one point. And it's, like, weird because we don't really see his wife too much before this happens. But then, after it happens, she, like, shows up when it gets caught, and then she's kind of a main character after that. For just, like, a little bit, like, the very last part of the movie, you know? But, like, before that, we don't see her at all. And instead, it concentrates more on this affair he's having and stuff. But I think that whole plotline probably could have been dropped. It was still, like, entertaining. I was still entertained watching it and stuff. But, like, it just didn't really flow with the rest of the movie. So, yeah, I'd say, like, yeah, I'll just take a point off for, like, having some scenes that weren't necessary. And for a 2.5-hour movie, it's like every scene better be necessary, god damn it. So, yeah, 9 out of 10, I think, is a fair grade for this. Very entertaining. I'm glad it's on Netflix, so I can just watch it again whenever I want. Has very strong messages about today's political climate and just how it is living in America almost today. Okay. Please like and subscribe, and tune in tomorrow for some more reviews, perhaps.